Hi, this is StrategyCast, where smart marketers and bold business thinkers share the plays behind brand breakthroughs. I'm Lori Jones, President and CEO of Avasec Communications. What if AI didn't just make your marketing faster, but actually made it smarter, more profitable, and more trusted by your customers? Today, we're diving into how AI agents are transforming marketing execution, how to operationalize AI in a way that drives real ROI, and how to scale personalization without sacrificing the trust that ultimately determines whether customers engage, convert, or stay loyal. Joining me today is Boobesh Ramadurai, who leads marketing analytics and AI-driven strategy at Latent View Analytics. He works directly with enterprise marketing teams to turn data and AI into real, scalable business outcomes.
A competitive edge starts with strategy, and strategy starts with knowing how to develop one. StrategyCast is a leading marketing podcast that serves up strategic insights, trends, and tips to help separate your business from the pack. Tune in weekly as host Lori Jones interviews bold marketing leaders who have priceless wisdom and are willing to share. Each episode explores cutting-edge approaches that have proven instrumental in transforming brands into industry trailblazers.
Welcome to the show, Boobesh.
Thanks for having me, Laurie.
I'm so excited to dive into this topic. It's a buzz right now. It's important, and I don't think enough people really understand the nitty-gritty behind it and how important it is. Before we get there, though, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Sure. I have been in the analytics industry for over a couple of decades now. I started when data analytics was not a mainstream, and over the last couple of decades, it gave me an opportunity to be in the thick of things in terms of the data analytics, and now it is AI. Over the last decade or so, I've been focusing a lot more on the technology vertical. Before that, I was focusing on every industry that is out there, either it is financial services or healthcare. And now the gradual course of time, I have moved into a lot more on the technology vertical, and even within that, supporting a lot of the CMOs organization. And we help the CMOs to move from intuitive-based decision-making to data-based decision-making, and now helping them with the AI orchestration.
It's so important, right? Because there's so many analytics out there, and I think there's too much analyzation happening. And the more insights we can gain from teams like yours, the better outcomes we're going to be able to reach with AI-driven marketing solutions. What drew you to, you've got such an incredible data analytics background, as we've just heard. What drew you to really wanting to make and work with a company that makes AI actionable?
Yeah. No, the fortunate part of the consulting practice and what we have been doing is we have a front row seat with most of the technology companies that have been not only preaching, but also doing their own work, right? And I have seen how marketers kind of move from just taking decisions based upon their intuitive and gut-based marketing to a performance-based marketing. And from whenever there is a performance-based marketing, they are also moving into a data-driven and data decision-making. And now most of it has been that AI-driven, and they are including AI in their design workflow itself. And how that including AI in the marketing design workflow helps them to personalize, localize, and also velocity. End of the day, it is the velocity through which they are able to move forward. And being we are very fortunate to work with some of these clients who are the industry movers and having a front row seat in terms of how things have been changing.
Yeah, I love it. And velocity, I think, is key no matter what marketer is working on what product at this stage. Let's talk about the shift from AI hype to real marketing impact. There's a lot of excitement around AI. We are an AI-forward agency. We've been at the helm of implementing, I think, some of the strongest AI-driven programs out there. Where do you see the biggest disconnect happening between that hype and the reality in marketing today?
No, that's a great question. And if organizations think that AI is a magic and it is going to come and solve all their problems, it is not, right? And people are trying to understand that, and the reality is also creeping in. The biggest difference that I see when I work with a lot of organization is, if they think AI as a tool, then the success factor is not so much. But if they think AI as integrating in their design workflow, as I said earlier, then there is a lot of impact, and they are able to see value out of it. As long as every organization out there is having AI tools, they are using AI tools to do some pilots, but only the ones that are actually integrating AI into their design workflow are able to see the value and are able to move into the production environment. That I see as a big difference between AI as a hype versus AI as a reality. There is today, at this point in time, everybody realizes there is a lot of value in terms of AI and how it can, as I said, the decision velocity or personalization and all of it, but it has to be integrated in the design workflow. So that is where it makes sense. Yeah.
And I think that you're talking about the operationalization. Oh my goodness.
Operationalization. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I needed that help. And I think turning it into an operating process and a true system is where it gets missed. Talk to us about that.
Sure. We have seen a lot of organization, and by now everybody knows dashboard, and everybody keeps looking at the dashboards in terms of what campaign is performing, what campaign is not performing, and all of that. And when we talk about operationalization AI, maybe I'll give you an example. I very recently had a conversation with one of our acquaintances who are working in Stripe, and I am interested to see in terms of how they have been using uh, enabling AI into their marketing systems. So the way that they have been doing it is, they have some forward deployed AI accelerator engineers who kind of come in and work with like 10 to 20 different marketers within their organization and help each of their marketers to do their job better. And whatever their small task is, how do I agentize it, right? So in a way, they get integrated that into their daily workflow, and they're able to see a real value by doing it. So it is not only AI is being provided as a tool, but it is being integrated into their workflow, which kind of helps in terms of operationalization or orchestrating the outcomes, right? And one of the good example was the content verification. I know the marketers generate a lot of content, and how do and in the earlier days, it was a human who kind of go in and look into the content and see whether it is appropriate for this particular audience, or whether it is resonating with this geography set of people or segment that I'm focusing on. Now most of this can be done through AI, and the same content, when it is being duplicated across different geographies, AI is able to quickly check for their country relevance, their culture relevance, and come back and tell us in terms of what part of the content will work and what part of the content doesn't work. So that is what is a great example that I thought
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
I love that. And to you and I, that is a pretty basic example, but one that I think a lot of people still are not doing. Give us an example, if you could, of something that is very far reaching at this stage, very novel and innovative compared to, content support.
Yeah, sure. In fact, one of the example that we have been supporting is more in terms of, maybe I'll give a couple. One, it can be everybody might have thought through it, but maybe some of it have operationalized it, some of people have not operationalized it, which is the real time when there is a campaign that has been launched in some of the social media. Some of the campaigns will work and some of the campaign doesn't work. Typically, it used to take like 4 to 6 weeks for any campaign managers to understand whether the campaign is performing well or not performing well. But now with AI, you will be able to monitor it in a more real time and also optimize the campaign in terms of the spend, the reallocation of based upon the metrics that you wanted to focus on. All of this can be done in a more real time once you integrate the AI and provide that in the workflow system, right? Which was not done earlier. Earlier, you
Right.
always need to, there is a lag and you need to wait for the data to come in, and then a marketer need to look at it and then change it. Now everything can be done in a more real time. So
Yeah.
that's one example that I can think about. The second example is more around the messaging, when marketers kind of come up with a campaign idea or how to communicate their product to the audience, there is a lot of A/B testing that happens. And now AI kind of helps in terms of streamlining and understand what customers are talking about, what the prospects are talking about, and how to use their own same language in the marketing campaigns that they are doing. Some of it has been, and when you're thinking of doing it at that scale, especially for larger organizations, that becomes a lot more. With AI, there is a velocity that you are able to bring in here.
And with your first example, I'm interested in how much, let's take Meta for an example. How much of that optimization is already built in the infrastructure of Meta versus how might a marketer build an AI agent to help outside of Meta with that optimization?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. In fact, within Meta optimizes a campaign based upon the KPI that you set. For example, you say that, hey, I want to have more impressions or I want to have more engagements. Where AI agents that will be built within the organization, which is on top of Meta, will help is based upon what kind of interaction and what kind of responses that you are getting. Not all interactions are good interactions, right? There may be an ad that you will be putting it out, but what if that doesn't resonate with a set of audience and they kind of come and say that all negative reviews around it? Can we really pull back it in a more real time, and can it be more appropriate? Let me give you an example. I know that one of the organizations that we work with used to put cats and owl as a character in their marketing campaign. If you look at it in US, cat is a good omen. Everybody loves cat and they wanted to look at it. Whereas there are few other countries where cat is not really considered as a good omen. And you don't want cat in your marketing banner and marketing campaign that is put out, especially when you're putting out a positive signal, right? And there you may be able to see, let's say if it skips the marketers, it goes into that campaign, that the campaign has been launched and people are able to have some negative reviews in terms of, hey, there is a black cat which is crossing the street or whatever it is. We are able to capture it in a more real time and pull back on some of it, right?
Right.
Will be able to do that. And even in terms of, even before launching the campaign, we'll be able to catch some of it.
You'll get that tidy cat in there instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Where are you seeing the most impact that AI agents are making right now regarding an actual workflow and ROI at the same time?
I think AI started to play a more important role across the different workflows within marketing, either in terms of the content creation. I know that content creation as such is an area was not really driven by AI, right? It was
Right.
more driven by intuition, marketing, branding, their culture within, and how they wanted to position their branding to the audience and to their segments. Now that has been, a lot can be done by AI, and every organization has started using AI to that aspect of it. And if you double click into just the content, it is around, as I said, personalization for a particular geography. How do we localize a particular ad, and how can we bring in the relevant content for that people into that campaign and do it? Creative space has definitely taken a shift before AI and after AI in terms of how it is being generated and personalized. The performance part of the campaign, which is the data driven, the reporting, dashboarding, those part has always been using analytics, but now it is not just analytics, it is more around predictive also, in terms of, can I just predict what is the next best action? And not only predict the next best action, can I also make it more real time? As customers kind of come in and interact with your website, can I just personalize your website in a way that it resonates with Laurie a lot more than it resonates with Boobesh, right? Those
Right.
kind of things can be done much better now, and that is where we see a lot of adoption also.
So I think it's speed to outcome is really, if we summarize this, is really what we're talking about here. How is this speed to outcome changing conversations regarding ROI and top line revenue, or changing out campaigns more quickly with new creative because something that may have taken 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months to really resonate with an audience in the past is now we're speeding that up, and we've got to refresh, creative more often. What are marketers talking about regarding that very big topic?
Yeah, no, what we call internally and also with some of the clients that we are working with is we call this concept called culture to campaign. And if you think about the culture to campaign, it is what is the signal that we are receiving from our customers, either through the social media that they are interacting with, or to the market research that they are responding to us, or the feedback that they are receiving in our platform or tools and how they use it and all of it. Typically, these are the signals that kind of goes and ends up into the campaign. Pretty much in the earlier days, it will take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, even after identifying a signal saying that, hey, this is what customers likes about my product, or this is what they wanted to see in terms of where the brand stands for, to convert that into a campaign. But now the timeline has moved from 6 months, in some places even to like 6 days.
Wow.
And even though that is a lot more aggressive, 6 days, in digital campaign, they are able to move it that faster and launch it. And there are companies that is able to do it. For example, if you look into the Canva right now, how they have been operating, they have been rolling out like thousands of pages on any week and revamping those pages as they wanted to go into the capture the there is this whole concept of SEO to AEO, right?
Yeah.
Which is search engine optimization to AI engine optimization right now. And AI engine is kind of looking at all the chat GPT, Claude, Gemini, and all of that is looking for content that is out there and also resonating what kind of content works with. So it is asking for more content, and people are generating more content. Every organization is taking a different path in terms of how to do it. But I see that the squeezing of time and the culture to campaign starts resonating with a lot more people. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. At Avocet, our job at the end of the day is to build trust with our client buyers, whether it be consumer, CPG, or B2B. It's all about trust. As marketers automate more, where does trust start to break down?
What is going to happen in the future is very difficult to predict, but what I can see is the trust starts with the brand. And when a brand establishes what they stand for, that is more important for people. And whether the what brands stand for, is it resonating with the individual as a customer for me, and that takes still the priority. The second is, are they able to think about what I am thinking today? And are they resonating with my ideology and my trust factor today, which is a lot more important, right? I don't think end of the day customer really care about whether it is being AI generated or it is a human generated, as long as it resonates and it stands for what they believe in, which is a lot more important. And globally, we are also seeing the attention span becoming lesser, and the biggest advantage that human has is we always forgive and forget. So any mistakes that you make, it doesn't really matter, as long as the next thing that you're doing it right and you're doing it well. That is what people stand for. So definitely establishing the brand is a lot more important, but also keeping your brand updated to the changing culture and what is being relevant today in the industry and today for your customers is a lot more important. And I see some of those key aspects is not going to change even few years down the line.
I agree. And what we're talking about is brand strategy, right? And brand strategy is not putting a few sentences into Claude or ChatGPT and saying, give me a tell me what my brand strategy is. You still need to do the external research, the segmentation, the competitive analysis, the POP, POD, the insights review, the industry insights. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. That strategic framework is still vitally important. Now, we can use some very unique insights and process them through AI to glean commonalities, so on and so forth, but it does not replace that need to really obtain that information. I've been involved in so many conversations where the layman has said, just go ahead and spit this into Chat GPT and it will tell us what our strategy is. It's laughable. And people still believe that it's the right way to approach this.
Yeah. And think of it, it is the same AI tool that is going to be available for everybody. So
Right.
if you wanted to bring your uniqueness, you need to bring in your human aspect. For me, it is about execution. You can go into AI, but when it comes to strategy, it has to be done with people involved and what they stand for and what their product and the brand stands for.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the questions along with strategy that you and I probably run into day in and day out with the layman, as I said, one question that a lot of companies are asking themselves right now is how do we maintain our authenticity and as it relates to the human connection while scaling with AI? What are you seeing out there regarding that?
Yeah. Though it again goes back to the things that we have been talking about. One is your strategy, what your culture for your organization, what is your brand stands for. All of that has to be unique, and over the years, many of this organization has already figured that out, right? And that is not going to change, and that should not change. What can change is how it resonates with the people and how it resonates with the audience that have as a changing taste today, and what is out there, right? And that is where AI can kind of come in and help, not on the strategy part of it. The strategy part of it will be done by the marketers who knows the pulse and who knows the brand and how to position it. The execution part of it and the scaling part of it, in terms of, can I position my brand uniquely for people in Southeast Asia versus uniquely people in US versus uniquely people in Europe, and even within that, how do I resonate for people who are in this age group versus a different age group, this culture versus a different culture, or for people who are there in mountainous versus people who are there in the city. How do I position my product in a way that it resonates with everybody? That is where AI can come in and help you to increase the velocity and increase the scale and reach of it.
Yeah, I love that. And what about transparency? What role does it play in building trust in AI-driven experiences?
My 2 cents on this is, as I said, for a customer, I am not really looking for content. When I look into a content and when I look into an ad campaign, I don't really care whether it has been AI generated or it's a human generated. All I care is whether it is resonating with me,
Right.
and whether is this the product that I want to consider for, right? I
Yeah.
think that is a lot more important, and that trust factor. And there is also a thin line in terms of, if it resonates, there is a lot of trust that I put into that product and the brand. And if it doesn't resonate, then there is and if it still knows about me, then that is where the invasiveness kind of comes in, and
Yeah.
which nobody likes, right?
No, it's so interesting because I see so much AI on social media, AI-driven imagery and voiceovers, and it really bothers me because it's not authentic. I don't feel like the brand is being transparent. I don't feel it's trustworthy. Are there audiences that just don't care? It's fine with them.
The, there is all kinds of audiences. If you think about it, there are audiences which is more around very transactional, where they kind of come in and look for what they want, and if they are able to get what they want, they just go ahead. And there are audiences which is more around brand and positioning, and who tells it and how they tell it is a lot more important. That is where the authenticity kind of comes in, right? And I am sure in the next few years, maybe there is going to be a social media channel which says that no AI and this is all human generated content and human generated voice. But end of the day, if you think about it, we all go back and look into human connections and get feedback and suggestions from our neighbors, from our friends, from the well-wishers, in terms of what product are they using, what resonates with them, and then get their feedback and go ahead and do it, and not really get everything done through the digital channel, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, AI is going to play a lot more role in the digital channel, but a lot more decision is going to happen outside of the digital channel also. So that is where the resonating and the authenticity kind of stands.
Yeah, absolutely. Personalization, I think, is very, very interesting because some of that absolutely can be handled with the graphic component that we just talked about. And it has come a long way from an optimized salutation at the beginning of an email, right? I mean, it's crazy. Um, what does effective personalization really look like today?
If you think about that, the personalization, like few years back, was more around just changing the name in an email, right?
Right.
We just change the name in the email and then the content is the same and it is being sent out. But today, if you look at it, it is not just the name, it is also in terms of understanding what the receiver is, what is their intent, what kind of resonates with them. Is this a right timing? Uh, all of this kind of goes into that personalization, which is what AI is enabling us today. And it is not only just changing the name, right? So that is where it kind of adds value to what the brand wants to communicate to their audience and customers.
Right. Where are you seeing a lot of marketers go wrong with personalization as it relates to AI today?
The most that I have seen is if they use AI just in terms of as a chatbot. Hey, I have few questions. I just want to ask and get feedback and then maybe use my own judgment to do it. Then it all stays. It is like looking at the dashboard and understanding in terms of what kind of decisions I need to make, and then going in and making those decisions. Rather, the successful marketers, what I have seen is they kind of integrate their AI into the day-to-day workflow, right? Um, One of the example is the content verification. Do I need to content verification? Do I need to upload it into a tool every time and then check it? Or even within the workflow itself, can I bring in AI and say that every content that is being generated, I want you to be a critic and let me know what works, what doesn't work. And anything which is against the brand, can you go back and verify all of it, recheck, get it done, and then move forward. Then there is a feedback loop that goes in, and then it we see it kind of moves into the production and becomes a lot more productive tool for the marketers rather than just looking at as a bot that we can interact with.
Right. You know, it's interesting. We're, as marketers, so focused on the external outcomes, top line revenue, truly, KPIs that we know are impacting retention and so on and so forth. How should teams look at our ROI as it relates to internal outcomes? So we're talking a lot about operationalizing our teams and creating efficiencies. What advice do you have for them regarding how they can measure success there?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. The success is not just measured in terms of the execution velocity. I think it is everything starts with the business problem in terms of what are you solving for? Are you solving for reducing churn? Are you solving for increasing conversion? Are you solving for more personalization? It has to have a business problem in mind, and then the way that we approach is can this business problem be converted into a metric that can be tracked in terms of KPIs and have a benchmark in terms of what that metric is today. How do we calculate that? And then look at the whole workflow, and within the workflow, what are the things that has to be human based and it has to be judgmental based. Anything that has to have a judgment involved should be human involved and they should be getting in. And anything where they can say that this can be orchestrated and this can be done has to be go into the workflow, and that is where we see a lot more productive coming. It starts with the business problem, get into the KPI, and then move into the execution. And it cannot be bottoms up. It cannot be like, yeah, I have a new tool and I want to know how to make this tool more effective. So that is not the way to go about it. We feel like it has to start with the business problem, KPI, and then the tool comes as a last resort.
And from a very rudimentary standpoint, it's efficiency, right? So hours saved at working on a content flow, which means that you've got time to do something else that can also generate top line revenue.
Yeah, efficiency, but efficiency, if you think of it, it is getting translated into doing more. And when I say doing
Exactly.
more, instead of just running one campaign in 1 week, now I can run 4 campaigns in a week, right? And when you are able to run 4 campaigns in a week, then you are able to attract more customers. Then you are able to reach out to increase your top of the funnel, and once you start doing everything right, that the top of the funnel gets reflected to the revenue also. Yeah.
We're at the end of our time. I can't believe it. I've got one more question for you. As AI agents and automation become more embedded into these workflows that we've been talking about, how will this change what it really means for a marketer over the next 2 to 3 years? And who's at risk of being left behind?
Anybody who is using AI as a tool and not really including that in their workflow design, I feel is at risk. And people who are able to adapt that in the workflow design and say that, hey, you know what, some of the strategic decisions I'm going to make, and I will take the responsibility of within their environment in terms of within the organization's culture, within their mandate and all of that. This is my responsibility and I'm going to be involved in it. And these are the work that I'm spending a lot of time today, which I don't want to do it. And I want to automate some of this. And they use the help of agentic workflows and AI to build that in their design, are the people who are going to be really successful. And as a marketers, we always evolve. And we have been evolving from a non-digital channel to a digital channel to SEO and now AEO, and also the web pages being dynamic, and Meta is moving from a performance based to a more real time. There is so many things that has been changing, and we always find ways to keep ourselves updated and move forward.
Yeah.
End of the day, how much you are able to contribute to the organization and what kind of messaging that you are saying is resonating with your audience is a lot more important.
Yeah, I agree. And staying on top of it is the hardest part, I think. But I
Staying
use an
top of
AI agent for that as well. Boobesh, what is the best way for our audience to get in contact with you?
You'll be able to reach out to our company called latentview.com, or you can also send out an email, and LinkedIn is a great way to stay in touch.
That's great. Boobesh, this conversation reinforces something that here at Avocet we believe deeply in. Technology alone does not create impact, trust does. The brands that win with AI not just automate faster, they will align data, strategy, and human connection in ways that make customers feel understood, confident, and value. And that's really where the growth begins. Boobesh, thank you so much for your appearance on StrategyCast.
Thank you so much, Larry, for having me. And yeah, AI transformation is the organization's transformation now.
Well, and you're doing it very well. Thank you again.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me. Bye.
That's a wrap. Thanks for joining us on today's show. We hope your strategic brains are spinning with new ideas and bold inspiration that will elevate your strategies and marketing know-how.